Well, here we are. This is foodoffensive.com's weekly Fukushima update. Now, I made a video on the 1-year anniversary of Fukushima back in March, and since then I've seen almost 1,000 views on that particular video. And so it wasn't just that, but I realized people are interested in that, of course, but I realized that also I wanted to get more videos out, and so this is my attempt to do that. One every week about Fukushima, whether it's considering food or concerning food, and the effects that disaster have had on our food supply, not just in Japan, but this side of the world and beyond. And so whether they're about food particularly or not, the whole realm of it, the whole idea of it really does affect the food supply in one way or another. So I try to cover kind of current news and other news that have come up about Fukushima recently. And so this one that I'm covering this week is basically the idea that the tuna that's being caught off the coast of California, that's right off of our coast here in America, if you're here in America watching this, has been tested for radiation. And there's several articles about this. I'm looking at a Reuters article right now, basically titled Fukushima Radiation Seen in Tuna Off California. It says low levels of nuclear radiation from the tsunami-damaged Fukushima power plant have turned up in bluefin tuna off the California coast, suggesting that these fish carried radioactive compounds across the Pacific Ocean faster than wind or water can. And now this gentleman is quoted in all the articles that I've seen. His name is Daniel Madigan. He's of Stanford University. He works with the Hopkins Marine Station there at Stanford University. And he goes on to say, "I wouldn't tell anyone what's safe to eat or what's not safe to eat," Madigan said in a telephone interview. "It's become clear that some people feel that any amount of radioactivity in their minds is bad and they'd like to avoid it. But compared to what's there naturally and what's established as safety limits, it's not a large amount at all." So you're darn right. We don't want any radiation at all. Of course, he tries to kind of play it down a little bit. And of course, when you look at the numbers, there isn't a whole lot in there. But the fact that it's in there and that it's showing up in that particular item that we have tested, in that particular item that came all the way over from there, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. What are the people in Japan, the people that are, what if they're getting fish right off the coast there? You've seen in my video in the Fukushima 1 year later, the food and health after the fallout, that's what it's called. It talks about, there's one clip in there talking about the fish that's being caught right there, right off the coast. I mean, it's crazy. One more quote in the article here, under the subtitle, Swimming Through Cesium. It says, "There was about 5 times the background amount of cesium-137 in the bluefin tuna they tested, but that is still a tiny quantity," Madigan said. And he goes on to look at the, the science of it and the actual numbers. But my point is, it's there. It's there. And of course we don't want to run scared and always worry about that. And, I love sushi, and it's going to be hard to not eat that. But let's, take it slow and make sure we're doing the right thing there. Also, before I move on from this article, I can't help but look in the, if I can get there, I can't help but look at this article. I don't have this part highlighted, but basically he's talking about, if I can find it here again. I will point out the fact that also, first of all, that this article is recent. This article is from May 28th, and all of these that are surrounding that are from May 28th. But this particular one is saying that these were caught in San Diego in 2011 of August. Now, of course, this information was probably out there, but they're really just now pointing it out to us. So is that a problem? Is that a cover-up? What is it? There's some speculation that can be made there, but the fact that we're just now hearing about it, and I've been watching this for a while, that's something to be said. And of course, this was detected in August, which is about, the article says, which is about 4 months after the chemicals were released into the water off Japan's east coast. We're just now hearing about this. Now, what about the stuff that's later, or what the stuff that we have been eating? What is that about? So we need to be careful of that. And so I wanted to, the point here where it says, oh, it's just before this article that I have highlighted here. You can see that text on the screen here. I'm recording my document cam here, trying a different method here at this time. It says that, it goes on to say in this last paragraph, or in the last sentence of this paragraph, that the amount of radioactive material detected was far less than the Japanese safety limit. Well, we know, I'm not for sure offhand about Japan, but we know that in America, the EPA raised the safe limits. This article from naturalnews.com points that out, and I've referred to that in another video. The EPA to raise limits for radiation exposure, while Canada turns off the fallout detectors. Isn't that convenient? And it says that TEPCO released 10,000 tons of radioactive water directly into the Pacific Ocean. Now, this was back in April 5th of 2011, just a month after Fukushima. It says as of last night, so they must have did that Monday night, April 4th, 2011. So, of course, we raised the limits. It says the EPA maintains to a set of so-called Protective Action Guides, PAGs. These PAGs are being quickly revised to radically increase the allowable levels of iodine-131, which is a radioactive isotope, to anywhere from 3,000 to 100,000 times the currently available or allowable levels. I mean, this is a problem when we just say, oh, it's safe because we have raised the limit. I mean, this is bad. And so it goes on to say, there's another article too, not just the tuna, but going back to the food part of it, back in April 1st of 2011, around that same time, just after Fukushima, a couple weeks after, article from the Bay Citizen, government under fire as radiation is found in milk and rain. It says radiation from Japan rained on Berkeley during recent storms at levels that exceeded drinking water standards by 180 times and has been detected in multiple milk samples. But the U.S. government has still not published any official data on nuclear fallout here from the Fukushima disaster. And so people were outraged over that at the time. That was just after the fallout. And it goes on to say radiation falling with rain can cover grass that is eaten by cows and other animals. It can also fall on food crops or accumulate in reservoirs that are used for irrigation or drinking water. And seafood can also be effective. We're seeing that now. A year later, they're telling us about, over a year later, they're telling us about the fact that the seafood actually has it. But they're going to write it off as small levels. So another article about this was in the Christian Science Monitor. Radioactive tuna travels from Japan to U.S. faster than wind. Again, pointing out that it's August 2011. You can see some tuna there, and a sample of what they look like. That's not the actual ones, but August 2011, it's 4 months after they were released. That's the same text as in the other article, the Reuters article. And that is months earlier than wind and water currents brought debris from the plant to waters off Alaska in the U.S. Pacific Northwest. So it just pointing out again that we're just now hearing about it. And this is in our food. This is something we need to be concerned about. I don't want the fishing industry to be hurt. I don't want the Japanese export industry to be hurt. But we need to really look at the fact that there are foods that are being distributed and foods that are out there that we're possibly eating and coming in contact with. And also in the air, in the rain. We've seen it in the rain and the fallout. And no matter how much they've tried to cover it up, it's there. And people have pointed that out. And so wanted to bring that attention to you this week, trying to keep these short, under 10 minutes, doing these weekly, trying out some different things, working on some different setups and more permanent setups so I can get these, as far as a studio goes, so I can get these videos out quicker at a good quality without a lot of post-production processes and time. So trying to get these out as quick time as possible. So thank you for joining me this week. This has been foodoffensive.com's weekly Fukushima updates. I am Dale. Thank you for joining me.